everyone. So One Piece manga is back, and I will say right out of the gate, it felt like it was less than a month than I thought. Like the month just kind of flew by without me even realizing it. But that said, let's just get right into it, because I will say the chapter started off a little bit jarring by plunging us right into the battle of Ryukyu versus the Yakuza and Yamamoto without a whole lot of context as to why that was happening. But as the chapter progressed, the scene did get more contextualized just from the reveal that, yeah, the world outside the borders of Wano is in absolute chaos, with citizens rising up in revolution across the world. And with the reveal of what happened with Sabo and Cobra, which we will get into, it makes sense why Ryukyu and the Navy are so hell-bent on capturing Luffy now, because if they were to capture and execute the brother of Sabo, a revolutionary leader, it might quell the chaos and maybe bring Sabo out of hiding. Like, it's the whole thing with Sabo right now is kind of what has been kind of weird, and how he's been leaving it very vague as to what actually happened to him. But yeah, but I think the main thing is with Sabo being such a respected and sort of and just revered figure now, like him being a pretty much god of revolution at this point. It would make sense as to why capturing Luffy would also why in the mind of the Navy and the government, capturing Luffy would pretty much help to kind of quell the chaos, I think. They're pretty much trying to do what they were hoping that they would do by executing Ace, by executing Luffy. They think, yeah, it'll quell the chaos. Now let's get into the Sabo and Cobra thing, because the government is publicly reporting the death of Nefeltari Cobra. And yeah, I had a hard enough time believing something happened to him and to Cobra and Sabo before, but now I believe it even less, because Oda's taking aside Oda's whole rule of no body, no death. There's so much information revealed about the circumstances of what happened at the Reverie and what happened at Marie Joie that makes me say Sabo killing Cobra was staged. Like, that is the only thing I can say outright, that the whole thing was just an absolutely staged event. It's just knowing what we know about the Nefeltari's history with the world government, Cobra's death felt especially orchestrated, because the fact that it happened at the same time Vivi disappeared, yeah, there's too much coincidental. That's too coincidental. This has to have been orchestrated by someone, possibly Dragon or Sabo, who knew the impact Cobra's death would have on the world after the noise he started making at the Reverie, and with his death being the only way to save him and save Vivi, his country, and make the biggest impact, and to get this intended result. Like a lot of what was revealed about Sabo killing, it feels like it was all intended in order to get this specific result. Whether the mastermind was Sabo, Dragon, or Mjosgard is still the bigger question. Now, the tricky part of what happened to Sabo here is that Oda, despite revealing so much, Oda's still leaving it very vague, and about Sabo's ultimate fate and all this. I think he had revealed before he was dead or something, and while I don't believe he's dead, I do still wonder if he's been captured, because a lot of this chapter really pushed forward the idea that we are going full steam ahead towards the end of One Piece. So in that regard, it feels like Sabo's death is a setup in order to transition into another Marineford arc. Except in this case, Luffy will not only have the Straw Hats with him, but maybe actually succeed in rescuing Sabo, unlike how he failed to save Ace. That kind of feels like what Oda is setting up here with this, and just the natural progression of where it should go. But yeah. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about Shanks and the Red-Haired Pirates, because they are here on Wano, and oh man, the possibilities just from like thinking about the character interactions alone that would come from this actually have me geeking out a bit. Like it feels like with Shanks, with the Red-Haired Pirates on Wano, it feels like my whole wish list of what I'd like to see from a reunion with Shanks and Luffy and even Usopp and Yasopp are about to come true. Like one of my biggest things that I've always wanted to see, like even more than Shanks and Luffy's reunion, is how the other Straw Hats would interact off of the Red-Haired Pirates, and I feel like that's finally going to happen in this case. Like I cannot wait to see how this plays out, I'm waiting for like how Zoro's going to interact with them, how Nami's going to interact with them, even more than I am like Usopp and Yasopp, and again Shanks and Luffy. So yeah, like the possibilities right now have me kind of hyped. Of course, even bigger than that though is through a flashback, we more or less get the reveal that Shanks knew. He knew what the Gum Gum fruit was. Now, again, it's left a little vague as to whether or not he actually intended for Luffy to eat the fruit. Again, based on Shanks' reaction to Luffy doing it on accident, I doubt he did. But I think this also shows that ever since he set foot on Fuchsia Village, I think even before he gave Luffy a straw hat, I think he had also decided to put his faith and trust in Luffy, and to pretty much make it to this point. And now knowing how strong Luffy has become, that he's awakened the power of the Sun God, I think Shanks is ready to make his move. As Shanks declares himself, they're going to claim the One Piece. But the thing is, I know we don't know a lot about Shanks, but just knowing the kind of character Shanks is based on the bits of character we've seen of him, I think him saying he wants to claim the One Piece is just his way of saying that he's ready to give Luffy one final test to see if he's ready to be the Pirate King and take hold of Roger's legacy. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this chapter, between Shanks arriving on Wano and making that declaration, but also hearing the news that the Prince Bartolomeo had destroyed Shanks' territorial flags and claimed those territories in Luffy's name. Kind of makes me feel that even more. That just feels like the perfect excuse that Shanks needs to do this. But also, I can't help but wondering if he's hoping that meeting up with Luffy in this way is going to draw Blackbeard, because I think one thing Shanks also knows is that Luffy joining the ranks of the Yonko, Blackbeard's going to come after him. Now, so this is I think this is Shanks' way of prepping Luffy for that, and hoping he can maybe act as a buffer between them, which, yeah, it makes me worry for Shanks even more. I think Shanks at this point is destined to die, honestly. That I think to me has been proven through this chapter, that even more that Shanks at some point, yeah, if it comes down to a Shanks versus Blackbeard fight, I really don't think Shanks is making it out alive. Now, rolling back a bit to the fight with Ryukugyu, fighting the Yakuza, Ryukugyu unfortunately brings up a point I'm forced to kind of agree with, because the thing is, for as authoritarian as the world government can be, and trust me, it is also true that under that banner, it does carry with it a certain amount of authority and influential power. That the kind of influential power that every country and every nation just carries. It is a borrowed power by the world government, but it is power that these countries and these nations are allowed to use. Whereas while Wano does have power and influence, it is the kind that exists within their own borders, within their own country. Outside, there absolutely is no influence and power they have. But at the same time, as shown just from the fact that Ryukugyu being here, they do have reasons for acting as such. So it's one of those things where, again, we're seeing the pros and cons of Wano's isolation on full display in this battle, and that while there is an undeniable truth, the world does need to be free from the grip of the government and allow the nations of the world to have autonomy. It is also that autonomy that has forced Wano to close itself off, and Ryukugyu is kind of making the case for Momonosuke's decision to hold off on opening the borders. But with Momonosuke telling Yamato and the others to not to fight, I think he was already accepting of this premise a long time ago. Living through the hell of Wano being under Kaido's grip taught him that what the animal is saying is entirely false. But again, I think because Momonosuke is the shogun now, he feels responsible for his people, and the only thing I think Momo believes he can do at this point is to just end this. He doesn't want to fight Ryukugyu, but he does need to. But he does need to face him just for the fact of trying to find some kind of common ground with Ryukugyu, with the government, with all these outside forces, and just put a stop to this animosity. Because it's I think in Momonosuke's mind, doing that is the only way he can truly believe that he can open up Wano's borders to the rest of the world without fear of anything else happening. It is a complicated situation that I think Momo fully realizes that right now, here and now, he's weirdly putting, he's really hoping he can put his trust. He can convince the Navy and Ryukugyu that Wano isn't a threat. Wano is a threat, that they want to work with them, but they still want to exist as their own. I think that's kind of more or less what this chapter is doing with Momo. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. Man, what a chapter to come back to again. It didn't even feel like all that time had passed since the last chapter, but yeah, he came back in force. And yeah, guys, just tell me what you think about this chapter. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.